was God made me meet right mentors at the right time. So one is Dr. Medha ma'am, who really, hand held and continued supporting me in all my endeavors related to medical education. So I'm so happy ma'am is here. Ma'am, with your blessings, and also DK Srinivas sir, who is also my mentor. And of course, my parents, I was able to do so much. And I still don't feel that is something very great. Anyway, thanks AHPE for this opportunity. Yes, when I got this AHPE fellowship, when I started doing this course, we were wondering on what to study. And since I was already working in the university, my intention was to study something on program evaluation, since new programs were implemented. But somehow Dr. Janet, my supervisor, said that it is not a topic for dissertation, it is more of a PhD topic. So she said, why don't you, go a little less, don't go for such an extensive work. And as she heard my proposal, she picked up one portion of it, that was role of teachers in the whole process of, transition of affiliated college to university status. So that is when we took up this dissertation. Of course, I was well supported by everybody. Thanks so much for allowing me to share my experience. So, Jyotsna, shall I start?
Yes, please
Yeah.
go.
Dr. Payal already discussed about what I'm going to speak on beyond the chalk and talk. Yes, teachers, we do a lot of other work other than just using the chalk and talk in the class. So what are we expecting end of it is a significant role the teachers have played beyond the traditional instruction. Now, most of us are, we are aware of our role as a teacher. So what is that we do beyond this is what we will be able to articulate end of this session. And also analyze the roles adapted from teachers during a major institutional transition. And we were also able to identify certain roles in the literature. So we will see how well they align or do not align with those roles identified in the literature and those roles played by our teachers in the university.
Would you like to share your screen, please?
Ma'am, am I not sharing it?
No.
As
As of now, no.
1 second. Is this okay, ma'am?
yeah, please put on
Yeah,
screen.
you can make it into a slide show.
Yes. Is this
We can
fine?
see it.
Medha ma'am, thank you so much. I just thought I had clicked on that button. Anyway, thank you so much. As ma'am is always trying to put me on the right track. And I also was exposed to a very interesting qualitative research paradigm over here, that is case study methodology. So we try to understand as to how that methodology is and how a teacher can use this to study their own new ventures or new reforms that they have done in their own institution. And lastly, discuss the avenues for having identified different roles, discuss the avenues for strengthening their professional identity. So in between, I have around 3 chat box activities. So I really look forward all the members to actively participate in this particular activity that we have throughout this session. So coming to this introduction, teachers have been identified as interesting social factor in every society. Starting from when itinerant teachers went from house to house, imparting wisdom and creating sense of social responsibility. And to name, we have Confucius, the first ever teacher known in the history. So he was the one who would do this noble profession. But now times have changed, and change in socio-political system, globalization and liberalization. A lot of other universities, there is scope there is freedom for everybody to start universities and institutions and convert the institutions into university. So a lot of things happening. So with this also comes that any institution should be socially relevant. So that means even if the existing curriculum is given by the respective apex bodies, it still means that those particular institutions or universities should adopt certain changes or make some certain changes in their curriculum. So in this evolving changes, the roles have changed so much that the teachers have been identified as a key person in this entire process, both at the central level. Now, central level, what I mean is the university. Institutional level is nothing but the school or the institution level, and the classroom level. So all these three places, teacher plays a very important role. And she's central to this whole process. And a lot of good researchers have worked on such, but till now, the roles have been only theorized, and there are no specific research done to validate, yes, these are the roles they have performed so far. So in case of not involving teachers in this process of curriculum development or implementation, now what happens is they lack the ownership. And when they lack the ownership, the curriculum implementation is not implemented as it was supposed to be. So they say their involvement is must. And the plethora of literature says that teachers play a very important role. However, there is one more group of literature which says that teachers are mere recipients. The curriculum is developed elsewhere and it is just transferred to the respective colleges or institutions to deliver. So they are just mere recipients. So you can see some kind of articles like teacher's voice is not heard, or voice crying in the wilderness. So when such things happens, the teachers really do not know how actually to implement the curriculum. So that time what happens, it is detrimental to effective implementation. So in this whole process, what we can understand is teachers play a crucial role and curriculum has to be developed in their partnership for effective implementation. However, as I said earlier, not much of studies have been done so far to really identify what are the different roles the teachers have played in this whole process of curriculum development and implementation. Now, just giving a background as to why I took up this particular study is MS Ramaya Dental College of Hospital, that is my previous institution, which is currently known as Faculty of Dental Sciences. It was affiliated to Rajiv Gandhi University, initially Bangalore University, and then later it was Rajiv Gandhi University. In 2013, MS Ramaya University of Applied Sciences was constituted through Government Act of 2013 as state private university. So at that point of time, we had 7 faculty, and it was an open invitation. Whichever existing faculties could join the university. So Dental College opted to join the university. So from then onwards, the title changed to from MS Ramaya Dental College to Faculty of Dental Sciences. So throughout this presentations, you will be seeing the word when saying this name of our college as Faculty of Dental Sciences. So 2014 onwards, we had to change. So until then, we were associated or affiliated to government university, that is Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences. So all of us are aware that such universities have the regulations, have the syllabus ready, chalk out the calendar, and they give it to us. And we are supposed to, they say this subject is for 60 hours, this subject is for 100 hours or so. And then we're supposed to deliver, take those classes, conduct exams, submit the marks, and then they also conduct the final exam. So this was just the role of teachers. But now with this change in moving to state private university, which had a commitment to, critical thinking skills, student-centric education, credit-based structure, formative assessment, and also curriculum model to be outcome-based. So the teachers at Faculty of Dental Sciences were expected to change their curricula to align with these requirements of the university. So this was not an easy task. And towards the right, if you could see, that was the hierarchical way of how the curriculum development was started and given to the teacher towards the end. So this whole process of curriculum development, we had to convert the existing curriculum into outcome-based model. Other than that, we also had to develop certain documents like academic regulation, course program specification, course specifications, and additional resources. Now, course specifications is for each of the subject. Subject is now called as course in this particular presentation, course specifications. So in total, we had 21 courses initially, but with this change, transition, and having the freedom and also to align with the university requirements, we came up with 4 additional courses as ability enhancement courses and 18 professional core electives and 2 open electives. So that was what was requested. One is to align with university requirement. Second is to align with the other faculties in the university. The academic calendar has to match. So it was really not an easy job. Our teachers really went through a lot of intensive and extensive work in this whole process of developing this entire set of documents. Nevertheless, they were well supported by the university leadership. So how it worked was the team was constituted at the top level. Some faculty were invited from the faculty level to take part at the university level, and they would get trained and they would in turn come back and train at the school level, at the institution level. And at the institution level, again, we had certain committees which would be trained and they would go back to their departments and train their faculty. Finally, we were able to put up all these documents required. It was definitely not the same as what we were when we were with Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences. It was extensive. We had to give assignments. We had to conduct formative assessments. It has to be student-centric. And all resources had to be prepared beforehand. And then that had to be reviewed by the quality control officers of the team. And then only take it to students. So this whole process really put them into a different path altogether. So when this was discussed with our supervisor, then we thought, why don't we study what are those roles that they played in this entire process of new curriculum development and implementation. So that was the reason for taking up this particular topic. So with this context, our research question was, what role did teachers play in developing the new curriculum? What is the role played by them in implementing this new curriculum? And how does this study reinforce or add to current theories or conceptual frameworks of teachers' role in curriculum development and implementation? So with these 3 research questions in mind, we went ahead to do some literature search. However, before we proceed, may I request the participants in the group to type in the chat box, what are the different roles that you have played working as a faculty in health professions educational institution. We'll just take a minute for this activity. Josna, I don't have access to chat box.
Yeah, you can see it, ma'am, but I'll also read it out for you as and when the messages.
Yeah, I can't see it. It's not visible, but probably, yes.
Mentor, communicator. That's one role. Teacher, assessor, leader, content developer, counselor, administrator, trainer, skills trainer, assessor, facilitator. Everyone is talking about training now. Admin, counselor, administrator, infrastructure planner, researcher, reviewer, sometimes a parent, a psychologist, resource developer, curriculum planning, conflict manager, guide, resource person, a bridge between the student and administrator. Okay, mentoring, admin work, doing sundry works as well. Motivator, academic leader. Yeah, I think they've had quite a few roles outlined, ma'am.
Excellent. Thank you so much all for this contribution. Yes, however, most of it or some of it we've identified in the theory, but once again, let me reiterate that these roles are largely theorized. It's mainly through narrative reviews or expert opinions. There are no studies conducted to confirm if these are the roles conducted so far. So with this, just go ahead. Josna, slides are not moving.
You need to click on the presentation and then you can go to the next slide, ma'am.
Okay. Well, once again, thanking each one of you. We continued this with the literature review. We searched for databases. And of course, we got some few thousand hits, all of you are aware. We really did have broad mesh terms to accommodate as much as possible curriculum development and curriculum implementation and teachers. So this kind of Boolean terminologies we used, and we did get around thousands. But however, after reading and filtering, 71 full articles were finalized for our study. So for the benefit of our research, we thought we will define what is curriculum and what is curriculum development and what is curriculum implementation. Yes, again, there are multiple of definitions that were available across, and each one different from the two, or sometimes very mildly they were coinciding. Sometimes curriculum development and curriculum designing, curriculum development and curriculum implementation are same. So this kind of varied picture is what we got in our literature search. For the sake of research, our particular research, we have come up with these three definitions. A curriculum document is one which will have all the related contents, the learning outcomes, the assessment plan, the evaluation component and all that. The curriculum development is a process of developing this curriculum document, and curriculum implementation, the series of actions related to make the curriculum document be implemented. Okay, so with this, the next activity was reading those articles. A lot of good authors have really contributed in this field and shared their experience. We did not have one article with all the roles. Based on their experience, each one had given one role or two roles, something like that. Of course, we have Harden's article, which speaks about 12 roles. But beyond that, we did search, and it was not limited to medical education alone. Rather, we did get articles from education journals, management and commerce, pharmacology, nursing. So this is culmination, because our philosophy is not related to medical education alone, but the process adopted or the roles played by teachers in the process of curriculum development and implementation. So having got that clarity as to what is curriculum, what is curriculum development, and what is curriculum implementation, reading out the literature, we were able to elicit around 17 roles, different roles played by teachers. And for the benefit or for the benefit for the sake of research, we segregated them to those that fit into curriculum development and those that fit into curriculum implementation. So there were 6 roles that fit into curriculum development, and there were around 11 roles that would fit into curriculum implementation. For example, there is something called curriculum leader. Yes, most of you did speak about the role that you have played as leader. So the leader is a person who's got a broad, broad global view on education. The depth and breadth of knowledge on education is really high. They do have knowledge about different curriculum models and education system. So they are in that position. So they are called curriculum leaders, and this is as per the definition that we were able to elicit from literature. Similarly, participatory designer. These participatory designers are the ones who have these dialogues with the experts. They sit with them and they design the curriculum. So that is one. And curriculum decision maker is a person who is expert in education and also in his own profession, where he has the ability to decide what new courses can be added or how this course has to be designed. So in this way, we were able to define or get the definition from the literature for all these roles. And the ones towards the right side, that is curriculum implementation, the most of it is what you all already know. Okay, maybe one on practitioner, I can say the example. Reflective practitioner is the person who keeps on reflecting on his actions for the purpose of improving himself or herself as a teacher. Okay, so this is the conceptual framework that we were able to draw out of literature search. Now, there's one more quick activity. This is very simple. Case report, case series, case study method. Now, all belong to same research paradigm. True or false?
Request the participants to type in the chat. What is your thought on this? Okay, they're saying it's false, true, can be only a binomial representation there. True, true.
Josna, is there scope for me asking one of the participants to say why it is true?
Yes, you can ask. Would
Yes.
anyone want to explain why you think it is true or why you think it is false? Please unmute yourself and go ahead. Thank you.
I think someone said who said it's true.
Yes, ma'am. We are having a mixed response. Some are saying true, some are saying false.
All right. Let's not, if nobody is ready, let me say. No, it's not true. It's false. No, case report and case series comes in quantitative research, and the lowest rung in evidence, pyramid of evidence. Now, case study method is a qualitative research paradigm, which doesn't come into this. So it is two different: quantitative research, and then this is qualitative. I wouldn't say case report, case series are quantitative research, but they form the first rung of the evidence, pyramid of evidence. So basically why I put up this is, now we are going to discuss, learn a little more about what is this case study method. Thank you so much for your response. So now I'm looking into wearing many hats, a qualitative dive into evolving identities of teachers. As I said initially, the research paradigm that I learned in this process of my dissertation was case study method, the method which I've really not fallen in. I mean, I just love this research methodology, that is the case study approach. It is indicated when there is a need to obtain an in-depth appreciation of an issue, event, or phenomenon in its natural context. A lot of those people whom I have quoted there, Merriam, Criswell, Cross, and Crow, these are all the people who have worked extensively on this particular methodology or this particular approach. So it says, now what are those requirements to call it a case study approach? Is it needs to have a case, there should be fencing to the case, there should be a context, and there should be a phenomenon. The case was FDS, that is Faculty of Dental Science within Ramaya University of Applied Science. Fencing of the case is very important. The fencing of the case. Now I need to fence this FDS. Fence FDS before I could start this. So started from 2014 to 2019. Now, why this 2014 to 2019? All those events that happened between 2014 to 2019, because our research aim was to learn, to explore the roles played by the teachers in the process of curriculum development and curriculum implementation. So one full cycle of BDS program happened from 2014 to 2019. That is 4 plus 1 year. So that is fencing of case. So that's the natural context, and the event or the phenomenon that happened at that time is what is called fencing of the case. The context is change in status from affiliated to state private university. So that was the context. Phenomenon is role played by the teachers. So these are the 4 requirements for a case study approach. So what is not included in the case is, at the same time, we did have other courses, the other program running with Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences. We did have students, we did have one separate curriculum. We also had teachers who were dealing with that part of the program, that part of the curriculum. So we had a clear bounding of the case that only teachers associated with Ramaya University of Applied Sciences between 2014 to 2019 were included. So method of data collection, the best method. Again, we have a lot of literature about this, in-depth interviews using semi-structured interview guide. Now, qualitative research is always criticized for its subjectivity and interpretivism. But they say having reflexivity in place to a certain extent can reduce the subjectivity and improve the validity. So here for reflexivity, I shared my interpretative lens, pre-action, in-action, on-action, the one given by Patnaik in 2018. What it says is, as Dr. Payal introduced me, she did mention that I had a role to play at the time of the university during the time of transition. I was a chief for quality control for 2 years, and then I was academic registrar for next 3.5 years. So during that whole phase, I was directly involved in this whole process of curriculum development, and I was interacting with almost all the teachers in FTS in this process of developing academic documents. So pre-action is that it did not mean that me with this background should have certain questions which I already know what teachers have played. So I placed myself as a researcher, searched literature and identified the roles. So it was not based on my subjectivity, rather searched literature, identified roles of the teacher played in the literature and prepared the conceptual framework. So that is pre-action. So in action is I also had the opportunity of identifying those teachers who have really worked with me and invited them to be part of the research. So again, that would again lead to subjectivity. So to overcome that, I went to academic section, took the list of the teachers who were active during that period, and then went to the respective heads of the department, asked them to select, to give me those teachers whom they feel would be good enough to give me data for my research. So there we looked up at information-rich samples. Of course, purposeful sampling was followed. Information-rich samples is one recommended by Patton in 2002. So these are the people who are open to share and able to recall, and the ones who can really contribute to the research without having any inhibitions. These are called information-rich samples. This is what we followed. So again, my subjectivity was not there. And at the time of analysis, again, before analysis, when we invited the teachers to be part of the interviews, I gave a clear-cut submission to them that do not see me as chief quality control or do not see me as academic registrar, former positions. Rather, just see me as a researcher, and I'm here to collect the data pertaining to your roles played. It is not to quantify what you have played. It is only to assess the quality of work that you have done at that time. And I took a neutral stance. I positioned myself as a researcher. So with these things, to a certain extent, the subjectivity was addressed. Other than that, at the time of that on action, time of analysis, validation of the categories and validation of categorization was also done with one other senior person well-versed in medical education. So this is how we ensured validity of results in qualitative research, that is case study methodology. And semi-structured interviews are quite well recommended in qualitative research because these give chance for us to collect data as much as possible. And the transcripts that we get was subjected to content analysis. Again, it's a very recommended method in qualitative research. And by doing content analysis, we have two options. Either you have description of the phenomena or you can quantify the phenomena. I will show as to how it was done in my next slide. Then we did pilot testing, prepared the interview guide exactly in alignment to the conceptual framework. Even that was validated with the subject matter expert and also our supervisor without my subjectivity coming into picture. And then the interview guide was pilot tested for the time taken, flaws in questions, logical flow of questions. And once all that was done, we found that 60 minutes minimum was required to collect the information and collect the whole information based on the interview guide that was developed. And then how many respondents did we take? Yeah, we took around 12, again with the rule of maximum coverage of data. So with this option, we have 6 categories of subjects. Basic medical, basic dental, clinical medical, clinical dental, and electives. So, and preclinical dental subjects. So there were 6 categories. So 2 from each. So maximum coverage is what is expected as per Merriam's literature. So we took up 12 respondents in this particular study. So we ensured that most of it fit into how do we ensure credibility of the data that we have collected. And we also had transcripts shared with the respondents to confirm, yes, this is what they said. Now, once this was analyzed, this is called the categorization matrix that I spoke about. With content analysis, we will be able to get the phenomena as a description, or you can quantify it. So here we were able to quantify it. On the left side, we have the different roles that were elicited from the conceptual framework. And here we have number of respondents, that is P1 to P12. And this gives the number of people that have gone ahead claiming their roles to be in one of these categories. Now, curriculum decision maker is from P6, P9, P10, P11, so 4 of them. So this is how, this is the frequency that we get. And towards the right, we have this one second. Towards the right, we have this matrix, which is called ranking frequency. So the highest rank frequency that we have got is lifelong learner. Of course, I will tell a little more about what are the roles that we were able to elicit. And resource developer was next. And the least was teacher as information provider. Least, or I could say it was 0. So this is one more that was possible with this content analysis. So moving on to next slide. Second.
Click on the presentation, ma'am. Then you'll be able to move the slide.
Okay. Now coming to what roles that we were able to elicit and what was that fitted well into a conceptual framework. So we identified 16 out of 17 roles played by our teachers from the conceptual framework. We were also able to identify 3 new roles, which was not in the conceptual framework or the literature that we searched. And we were able to revise 4 definitions that we had derived from the literature search. So the one in the bright blue color are the new roles that our teachers had played, which was not in the conceptual framework. One is curriculum expert. And towards the right in curriculum implementation, we have innovator and advocate for change. Now, curriculum expert, what we were able to see was at least 5 of our teachers had additional, fellowship or training in medical education, and they were able to contribute better in understanding how the changes, how the curriculum should be developed, and how they train the junior staff and take them forward. So this kind of guidance were given, and since that was missing, we call them as curriculum expert, because other than their specialty, they also had additional degree or additional training in medical education. Now, innovator was the one which we did not find in the curriculum, but this is what we found in the interviews that we conducted, the 12 interviews, where the teachers had gone ahead, other than the regular PPT presentations, they had made innovative teaching learning resources to ensure that the students learn. So this is the role that we were able to elicit from our research. And advocate for change. So there was evidence of 1 or 2 teachers who identified deviation in the thought of curriculum, and they found that it was not going anywhere. It was not fulfilling. For example, we had assignments as one of the requirement for the new university. Now, assignment, since critical thinking was our commitment in our vision and mission statement to enable critical thinking and analytical thinking our leadership had decided to have assignments to all students. The assignments had to be very carefully prepared in a way that enables students to deep dive into that subject, read the problem, analyze the problem, and come up with the solution. So we were able to meet our commitment to critical thinking or thinking graduates. So in this process, few of the teachers identified that this process, instead of enabling students to think critically, it was diluting the whole process, because we had 2 assignments per course. The students were ending up, because they would feel it was pressure, definitely compared to other curriculum. Now this was little extensive, so it was pressure, and they were not contributing or doing. Instead, it was diluting the whole process. So timely analysis was one thing that we were doing at the university. So they called appropriate platform. They raised voice and they said this is not helping anyway. So I think we have to reduce, instead of 2 assignments, let's reduce to 1 assignment and make it more meaningful. So we called it as advocate for change. So these are the 3 new roles that we identified. And next thing was the definitions that we revised. Now, teacher as a resource developer, as per the literature, it was limited to students. The resources developed for the sake of training the students. But what we found was the teachers also had developed resources relevant to the curriculum for effective implementation. So therefore, we slightly changed the definition to for curriculum on paper and curriculum in action. The authors in the bracket had given the initial definition. I have just put it for me to remember and tell you all. But the one given is revised through our research. Now, a teacher as a collaborator was given by Handler in 2010. Now, teachers work collaboratively with curriculum specialists. The underlined one is what we added, because that is what we found in our research. A teacher as a collaborator, they worked with the teams to make sure that the curriculum implementation is effective. Now, teacher in curriculum alignment was limited to teaching and learning. But we also found that the teachers in our, the respondents, the teachers in our research did mention about how they struggled, how they would prepare mapping and have their teaching learning, learning outcomes, and then the teaching learning methods, and then subsequently for assessment. So that complete alignment was assessed and followed by our students, followed by our teachers. Therefore, we have included curriculum alignment as matching of learning and assessment activities. So the underlying portion is what we have added, and we have revised it. The previous definition was given by Nevenglowski in 2018. And curriculum as a leader, I think I did see many of you write the roles that you have played and seen as leader. Yes, it's a very broad definition, but what was missing in that definition was including ability to take the team together. So these are the beautiful phrases and quotes that we could elicit in our transcripts and the interviews that we got from our teachers. 3 or 4 of them have taken this role. And in their explanation, they have just given as to their aim was only to have a robust curriculum, and they wanted all their teachers to understand what they were trying to say. And their aim was to take them in such a way that the end product is looks like what was expected. So we added including ability to take the team together. Handler, the original definition was given by Handler. The one which is highlighted or underlined was added by us based on the research finding. Sorry. Okay, now these are some of the examples or the phrases and quotes that we have picked up from the transcript. Now, advocate of change, I explained already. Participatory designer is, across the curriculum of the program, we were, that they participated along with others to ensure that the curriculum is really robust. And curriculum decision maker is a person who was well versed in their subject, well versed in the curriculum aspects, and also they were well versed with Dental Council of India regulations. So they were able to convert already existing small courses or the small programs that they had into courses. They called it ability enhancement courses. Yes, finally they agreed, yes, this is fitting in, like 2 open electives, 8 professional core electives, and then converting a community orientation program into a course, BLS program into a course. So these were the people who, this is how, this is the example to show that we did have a curriculum, teachers who played the role of curriculum decision makers. And the new roles that we have identified is teacher as an innovator. So the definition that we have given is a teacher who employs other than conventional teaching learning methods to facilitate student learning. Advocate for change, a teacher who understands the unfavorable deviation in the process of curriculum implementation, initiates remedial action. So I did give you an example, like how the teacher really rose up to the occasion and said that we have to stop this and make it more meaningful. Curriculum expert, who is expert in the field of education other than his or her discipline. Now to conclude, 20 different roles of teacher engagement in the process of curriculum development and curriculum implementation. Our teachers have really played. One very interesting thing that I thought I would mention was for reflective practitioners. One of the teachers said that I am now student-centric, and before I was eccentric. So this kind of phrases and quotes we could see in our research. And what we saw was teacher must wear multiple hats. Yes, teachers must wear multiple hats other than just being a facilitator or giving information. Teacher need not wear all hats. Yes, all the 20 did not. At least few hats we have to wear. Wearing of hats also depends on the personal characteristics of the teacher, because we had different kind, somewhere towards the leadership, somewhere in the academic middle manager level, somewhere at the level of school and classroom level. So it all depends on how a teacher has characteristic features or attributes that they can work in different level. Sorry. So how this research is going to help us, at least in our university, or what we have seen is, now this will give us an idea as to how do I define job responsibilities, one. And while planning appraisal forms, we can have all these roles, one being aware. The HR, it's nice that HR knows that a teacher, that other than teaching, also does all this kind. So we can have appropriate metrics for this kind of appraisal forms. And when teachers join such universities, we can have induction programs that exposes them or trains them this whole process of curriculum development and implementation. And I'm only talking about Dental Council of India. Now we do have a very small portion, and most of our graduates normally after post-graduation, they want to become teachers. A small percentage of them want to become clinicians only, or some of them both. So we have a very small curriculum to train pedagogy exercise only to become a teacher. So with this research findings, probably the apex bodies can look at strengthening some courses in the MDS program, which is a teacher oriented, or prepare the undergraduates to become a teacher, and also maybe run certain other courses, any other platform, probably run certain other courses to fulfill these roles, because we learned on job. But now with this national education policy and giving requesting all the institutions to take the status of university, I'm sure the responsibilities will broaden. And as time to come, there will be need for teachers who are well aware of this whole process of curriculum development and implementation, other than just being a information provider. So probably this is one more aspect that I thought the research findings can be used. And coming to the last objective that we discussed. First of all, do you all have any questions?
Please raise your hand or you can unmute and ask the question too. Or you can post it in the chat too.
Ma'am, may I ask a question?
Yes, please.
First of all, sir, I must congratulate you that you could actually change the definitions, which I'm sure must have been very established. So, what kind of evidence does it take to bring about this level of change? I mean, what is that robust evidence that must be there?
Sorry, can you be a little more precise as to what exactly you were asking me?
Yes, ma'am, you did a wonderful job of changing the definitions, isn't it?
Yes.
So, what is the robustness of the evidence? I mean, how much of that evidence is needed to bring about this change? Because it is phenomenal.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, first of all. Second is now the kind of methodology that we adopted, the case study method. With that, we also had this reflexivity where the researcher was very much clear about taking actions to prevent subjectivity. And then the transcripts that we got out of the research, out of the interview guides, thorough searching and reading twice and thrice, and then asking, going in for validation of categorization, validation of categories. I think with that, we were able to arrive at this. And now you can ask, I know what will be your next question. The robustness, if you're looking at, now this is
Yes,
limited to one institution. Probably. Now, again, we call this social science. Now, education is all social science. Now, if the same thing can be, now transferability is one more aspect of qualitative research. Now, we have given a very clear-cut process that we adopted in this whole research. So now, if somebody wants to repeat this in their respective institutions, replicate this and see if it is the same. So as we go ahead, maybe more and more evidence, and we can, confirm, yes, this is the definition, or you can still modify it. Did I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. One more thing, ma'am. How do we validate these categories that you said?
Okay. So there are two steps that we did. Validation of categories and validation of categorization.
Yes, ma'am.
First step is when I read the transcripts, okay?
Yes.
And I had the categories on one hand, that is from the conceptual framework, okay?
Yeah.
And then as I read the transcripts, the phrases, the sentences, the words that would suit.
Yeah.
I had a column and I would paste it. Once I completed that, that was given to one of the expert. That's called validation of categories.
Okay.
Okay, first. Second was validation of categorization.
Yeah.
Okay, so here what we did is 10% of the transcripts were given to expert.
Okay.
The expert did the analysis on their own. And now my analysis and the expert's analysis were matched.
Okay.
When we matched, we did find 3 areas there was no consensus. Then we had a discussion, the dialogue, and then we arrived at it and we closed it. So that's called validation of categorization. So we adopted these 2 steps.
Sure. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'll have more questions. I'll reach to you later.
Sure.
Later.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Anytime. But
Very
if somebody is
interesting.
interested to read the dissertation, please let me know and I can share it.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you.
Wonderful work.
Thank you, Dr. Juhi. We have a question from Dr. Prakash. He's asking, was the facilitator and motivator of learning identified as a role?
A motivator was not identified because that was not something that came up in the conceptual framework. Facilitator, yes, it did. Okay, that was one of the role. And we also had certain teachers to play the role of facilitator. But I have written in detail in my dissertation. It was not the complete role of a facilitator that they adopted. No? Sometimes it happens with those PBLs and TBLs where they're totally facilitators. We did not see that kind of complete engagement as a facilitator, but within the class, they would have the small group teaching, and there they would have this role as facilitator. So we have grouped them in our research as facilitators.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Dr. Swapnil, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, madam, like being an advocate for change,
Yes.
like being trained in FIMER, and sometimes the seniors in the department and claim that they are implementing the whole CBME, but it is not meaningfully implemented. And when one tries to assert oneself, there arises some friction. So that we need more training in being advocates for change, like putting forth our point and then not going back, because then it creates some sort of, so that I think is required in all, for all fellows.
Yeah. So you are asking for some kind of training to be advocates of change, right?
Yes, madam, and
Yes.
practical, more
Yes.
practical based.
Correct. Correct. Are there any more questions? If there are no questions, yes. I think Dr. Swapnil raised.
Dr. Swapnil, you have a follow-up question?
No, madam, sorry.
Okay.
All right. So maybe let's proceed with this now. May I request all the members to suggest avenues for strengthening their professional identity? Probably in the chat box. Maybe we'll just take a minute. Now, having understood that we teachers have to play these multiple roles, how do we establish or strengthen our identity?
I have a question, ma'am.
Dr. Josna?
Yeah.
Yes, sure, please ask.
When we look at the teachers in an institution, so we assume that the entire onus of playing all the roles is on the teacher.
Mm.
Teacher himself or herself has to equip themselves to play all the roles. But the question is, what is the role of the management in supporting the growth of the faculty in the institution? And what is the onus on the faculty themselves to develop in their roles? Like, for example, right now, we just basically might have an induction program. And if you're looking at some of the institutions, they might have a BCME or an ACME kind of requirement in the medical field, but not necessarily in the other fields too. So where does this accountability of development in their profession lie? And on whom does it lie?
I think it is both. One is responsibility of the management, since we work for a respective leadership and they have their own commitments in their vision and mission. It will be their responsibility to train their teachers or give them enough facilities for one faculty to hone or be competent in those particular fields. Point number one. And second, the major responsibility lies on us, unless until we are motivated and we have that push that I want to excel, I want to be competent. See, no matter what support the management gives, if the teacher is not motivated, that doesn't work. So I think it goes hand in hand. Create the structure, motivate the teachers to take it up, and one has to be internally motivated too. And together, I think this your question will be answered. This is with my experience. I've answered. May I request Dr. Payal or Dr. Medha ma'am to add on?
Yeah, I think I'll just add on here. Dr. Medha, would you like to go first?
No, you go ahead, Payal.
Okay. I think defining the roles is a very important part of the administration, or you can say the governance structure in the university. It's both good for their own efficiency. I mean, to get the best that they want from the teacher, as well as making it clear to the teacher what are the expectations in the role, in the job that they have been, given. So I was actually going to ask you that, you mentioned in your last, or just before the slide before this, about job responsibilities being defined. So actually, we are doing that at MUHS right now, and we've created level 1, 2, 3, and 4 programs, for assistant professors, associate professors and then the leadership positions. And I think that we have conducted one for the level 3, which is largely having a lot of other competencies besides curriculum, and a lot of administrative competencies, whereas in the level 1 and 2 roles you are devoting much more time to teaching. So in terms of identity, I think as you go up, your identity kind of transitions into whatever role you're expected to be performing at that stage. So it is definitely good to have a structure that makes it clear to the the stakeholders what is expected, both, I mean, the teacher as well as the governance system as stakeholders as to what is expected, which is not so difficult once we get down to it. And when there is evidence in the form of the marvelous study that you have done, and within the institution, I think convincing stakeholders should not be that hard. And the other thing was about involving students and making them, kind of feel motivated to become academicians and take up teaching as a profession. Actually, my journey started off like that. In one class, I just gave a questionnaire, what do you want to do after your MBBS? And not a single person wrote they wanted to be a teacher. I mean, it was appalling and very disappointing, and we do so much, we put in so much passion when we prepare to teach them, and etc., etc. And none of them are looking up to us as teachers and things like that. So one of the things later when I trained, we started very early, was the resident as teacher program. And now I think teaching is, I mean, being a teacher is a mandatory part of most postgraduate programs now, which is a very welcome thing. So yeah, I think your work is really nice, and it's been done with a lot of rigor and with a lot of meticulousness, doing a very rich literature search, and right from every step in the literature search, you've given a lot of time, attention, and attention to detail, I should say, and with good guidance from I think if you were with Janet, but yes, I think you've done a marvelous job, and this should work as a real good guide to better our roles as teachers. One thing I would like to say is that all of us are empowered as teachers in a university. Whatever we want to say, like advocates for change, there are mechanisms to make our voice heard. And that, I think, again, the administrative training teaches us how that can be done. So you are an administrator, you know better how it is possible to hear, and a leader, of course. So it is possible for all teachers to share, irrespective of not being the senior most, or the person who has authority. They still have a way to be able to put their point across. So thank you so much for a very wonderful talk.
So few, Dr. Payal, to say kind words. But then sometimes so happens that the structure is really not there. If you have a structure, there's nothing like that. Sometimes the structure is there, but the structure is not working. So a teacher sometimes, to bring about that advocate for change or what, has to go beyond, has to chalk out their own strategies to make sure their
Right.
voice is heard and the changes
True.
are made.
Right.
So those are certain challenges that we have faced personally and we have evolved. And second thing you spoke about, Dr. Janet being my supervisor, yes, it was wonderful. It was really wonderful for getting that kind of education in, that UK has a nice education system and they're very particular for literature review, critical reading, deep dive. They just don't take anything that is superficial. Other than that, I had somebody to handhold me in Bangalore, that is Dr. Meda ma'am, who was there throughout, and she reviewed and she helped me, put me on the right path. I did have challenge. Instead of finishing in 3 years, I took one additional year. So
nice. So we do look forward to hearing from her also right now.
yes.
Yes. Yeah. Payal, what you are doing at your university level is excellent. I really applaud the systematic way in which you are defining the competencies for every stage of the thing. What I would say, even for an individual institution or for small universities like private universities like Ramaya, based on the vision and mission of the universities, if we can out of these 16 roles that you have identified, if we can focus on those roles which are essential to achieve that vision and mission, maybe. Not all the roles may be required for all the teachers. So that would help you really move forward to get what you really are looking for from the university point of view. Say, whatever your vision is, if it is more of a community-based maybe service or community teaching, or maybe if you're looking at more of postgraduates and that kind of vision you have of training the students more towards specialty, then the teachers' roles will change based on your vision. Then if it is decided, and if that can be included in the induction part of it, or maybe given small doses, kind of, training in between, instead of just doing it at one shot. Longitudinal training would go a long way to train the faculty in the right direction and keep them motivated and achieve the goals that they are setting. That would be my 2 cents.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I think longitudinal training is something which still we haven't, embraced, maybe because of lack of resources or the number of people. So that was an excellent addition right now, I think, to the discussion. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think Dr. Swapnil has a follow-up question.
Yes, madam. My question relates to the cynicism among teachers and the need to nurture the soul of the teachers, as Parker Palmer says, because the teachers also have faced burnout and they become cynical, they become disconnected from the students. So, what are the strategies to nourish the soul of a teacher and keep him motivated and invigorated and passionate about teaching and conveys passion to the students?
Dr. Payal wants to take this question.
I think passion really comes from within.
Yes.
While Swapnil was talking, I'm thinking it's a very complex, question, and the answer is not so straightforward as well, because there are so many other confounding factors. You're working for a job, so you should get a good salary. You should, have a good working environment where your voice is heard, for example. You must love the subject. Of course, I'm sure people who come are postgraduates, that we've done, our specialist training in that. We do love our subject. We do love our students. Sometimes, student quality used to be a factor many times in private institutions. But now with NEET, etc., we have some kind of this thing over there. So many factors contribute to being, motivated, or rather getting demotivated. All of us, like students, come with a lot of enthusiasm. As teachers also, we come with a lot of enthusiasm. But then when the surroundings kind of, impact the sustenance of that enthusiasm. One more thing, right, which I feel is, the emphasis on writing research papers. I have come across many people who are not that inclined for research, but they love teaching. But a lot of because they find research hard, a lot of their time is devoted to that, and it leaves them no time to, try out the newer things or do the innovations in education, which are being propagated, which are being taught in faculty development workshops. So in many places, they come and attend, but they go back and just do the things the way they're doing already. Because in adopting newer methods, there's so much of unlearning that needs to happen. There's so much of preparation for the new way of teaching. There's no time for that because there's so much research-related pressure. So I think that's one of the factors I came across for the little time that I spent at a private institution. So that is from, I say that from personal experience. It's very easy to, show that good education is happening. You just take some geotagged photos, you put a nice group together and take pictures of that. You can very easily, get resource materials made. But it's so for accreditation purposes, it's not easy to show research because you need to publish it. So I think that the whole too much pressure on research has little bit, taken away the time that people can devote to giving more energy and, their passion to education. But yeah, so there are multiple factors. We look around for role models for everything. So I think, did Gandhi say that? I'm not sure. Be the change that you want to see. So the best we can do is role model.
Thanks, Dr. Pyle. I personally transferred this question to you because my personality is different. It is not that I have not faced challenges. Someone who knows very close to me knows what are the challenges that I faced at the university and institution. But as you rightly said, we have to be strong. Those factors, external factors are there. It happens. So we have to be clear with what we want. You are a passionate teacher. You continue to be a passionate teacher. Don't leave your students aside at all. Don't affect your personal experience, interfere with your interaction with teacher. And that's what I have been following. And I think over a period of time, you just forget as to what happened, and again you come back, to your original. And people would have forgotten as to what are those bitterness that happened, and it's all new thing again. So we should, as a person, we should be strong, and we should not go away from our passion. Do not allow others to manipulate with our passion, our interest.
Yeah, if I can just add from my experience on this, I have had a 12-year teaching experience, and post that I decided to shift into curriculum designing and development. So the question was, how do you continue to stay motivated in your career? So one, we have to be self-driven. And two, when we are doing something, we should not be doing something for the sake of doing it. It is something where we are bringing a change. So if we are investing ourselves 100% into what we are doing, but really not focusing on whether we are reaching the outcome or not, there is going to be a sense of satisfaction in whatever you are doing. So that was the second thing. Third thing was, it can be looked at it from a spiritual perspective also. Most of the times we have a tendency to expect that someone else should recognize us, someone else should honor us, etc. But many a times it doesn't happen. And when it doesn't happen, we start thinking, oh no, why am I doing this? For what purpose am I doing this? So if we go back to our core reason and say, okay, this is the reason why I'm doing this, because I think I can make a change, it is going to keep us alive and kicking. So during my darkest days in the workplace, it was this kind of an mindset which helped me to manage through. Thanks for that, ma'am.
Karmanyevadikarastu.
Apaleshu kadachana. Correct. Correct.
Yeah. So don't wait for rewards and awards for the work that you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. There should be a self-motivation.
Josna, I think there are certain questions in the chat box.
Okay.
How to remain a teacher when, as you grow in hierarchy, you are dragged more into administration and slowly move away from teaching?
That's what I said, no? Working with students and teaching is something we really like. So no matter what level of admin job is given to you, make sure that you stay connected to your students. Please take 10 classes or weekly one interaction with your postgraduates, or weekly one class, or for undergraduates, and clinical teaching, few hours. I think we can decide, and I don't think so anybody will even tell us do not do it.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think we know examples of, there are people who are very passionate about administration. So perhaps they might not, kind of look in that direction. But those who are very passionate about teaching will create that time, in some way or the other, however small it may be.
Yeah. Any more questions, Jyotsna?
There are no more questions, but everyone is Now there is a discussion, a conversation happening on teacher burnout. So would you like to add on that, ma'am? All of you have served as faculty for years together. So how did you manage the burnout phase?
Uh, I wouldn't say
Very,
it's
very
a
interesting.
burnout that I've experienced so far. I really did not come across something called burnout. Anything that I would see that, okay, this is going to be routine, then I would change it on my own, you know. So we had regular clinical teaching. So that was routine. So we introduced OSCE stations. So that was different. And call some experts, give them, ask them to talk. Just enjoy the process and change, do something different. In my understanding, just such language as burnout,
This
different.
is all
We
new
don't
terminologies which are being used. I taught for more than 40 years. I never thought about burnout in this
exactly,
thing.
exactly.
So,
So read a book
If I
article.
can say here,
Yeah.
I think burnout is real, and whatever I have read of it, and because at a certain point in my own career, I felt, okay, when I read about burnout, I thought, okay, is this happening to me? So I think self-care is very important. In the whole process, we cannot forget ourselves, because that motivation, the joy, the energy that you're going to give to the student, it all comes when you are well. So I think is it Dr. Yogesh's question on burnout? Yeah. So I think you can read more about self-care in there is a lot of literature now, especially it has come because the way the Western system works with their working hours and all that, there have been a lot of patient safety issues, errors have occurred, and I mean, consequent students have suffered due to whatever, had mental health issues and stuff like that. And I think it involves many things. It involves looking after your other needs besides just being into what you're doing as teachers, or as along with clinical work and other things all the time. So there is a lot of literature around that. But yes, the bottom line is don't forget self-care. That is what guards you against burnout. And in case you've progressed into a stage where you might feel that you are awareness helps you not deny it, and it's okay to acknowledge that your processes have slowed, or and there are ways to move out of it. So
take a break and
recognizing it is important,
Early, yes,
and that
that's what.
happens when you keep a watch on yourself.
Early identification and take action immediately.
Yeah.
We have seen that. We have experienced it. What we do is immediately act on it. So because of that, we don't want students to suffer nor a personal life to suffer. We need to balance it. So again,
Right.
it is you or me, it is important. We should be mindful and take remedial action immediately. There are, as ma'am said, a lot of books to read and some counseling sessions or some YouTube links that you can listen to some nice talks which will guide us, put us on the right track, or talk to your mentors. Don't allow anything to grow to such an extent that you really need great help. Be mindful, identify at the initial stage and see what action to be taken. Self-action, or you ask help. As ma'am said, yes, we can acknowledge and immediately take action. But this is reality. I'm telling out of my own experience. I've undergone all this. But then what action I've taken is just immediately take some action, meet some friends who will put you on the right path, listen to you, and then you're a different person altogether, within few days.
Yeah, we need to strategize as to how to keep the spark alive. We need to probably re-identify what is our purpose. Why is it that we are here? And that kind of helps to navigate and give the motivation when you are down. So some of the strategies I tried was using neuro-linguistic programming to pick myself up or talk to somebody. I got excellent mentors. I'm so thankful for that. So talking to others, looking at other role models. These are some of the practical strategies which could help and moving on. Setting new goals. setting own goals for personal development. So these kind of strategies help to move out of the burnout zone too. Are there any other
Yeah,
questions?
and I think being empathetic to our colleagues who are going through it will help, people be more open about it, or not be in denial themselves. So the more it becomes like, how we are saying for mental health, we accept that it's okay to have, challenges. It is okay. Burnout is quite a normal thing. It's just that if we educate ourselves more, we can, identify it early. We can seek help, or from colleagues, or find our own strategies to cope with it. And it's okay, and be available to other colleagues who may be in such a situation.
Do we have any more questions from our audience?
There is more
It's a
messages.
nice thing.
You have accepted this profession by choice, flow with it, why burnout?
Thanks to all the mentors for putting in their ideas in the chat box too on how to handle
Emotional first aid, yeah.
Okay. If there are no more questions, can we conclude, ma'am?
Doctor. Yes, Dr. Jyotsna.
Payal, ma'am, would you like to
Thank you
conclude?
so much. Yeah, I think we've had a wonderful discussion, wonderful participation from a very nice audience. We had huge number of participants. We had crossed 60 at some point, I saw. So wonderful and lovely, informative session, and so much of discussions, Dr. Pushpanjali. Congratulations on your work, and thank you so much for sharing it with us.